Hey there, Captains. It's Reem again with another episode of Thank GAR It's Friday. Today we're doing a fleet review from a tournament a couple weeks back now, Battle for Hoth. It was a multi-week online tournament. Ended up doing fairly well. I think I ended up middle of the pack. Had a strong start, but kind of fumbled the last couple rounds. So I thought we'd go through it. It's pretty similar to my Vast World Cup list, but definitely an improvement over it, I think. So with that, let's go through the list. We start off with the Venator II, commanded by Bail Organa, Clone Captain Zak, boarding troopers, thermal shields, external racks, linked turbolaser towers, and the Tranquility title. We also have a Victory 1 Star Destroyer with GAllia, engine techs, veteran gunners, SPHA-Ts, assault proton torpedoes, and external racks. A Pelta transport frigate with Hondo Ohnaka, projection experts, and munitions resupply. And then we have Axe, Anakin Skywalker and the Delta Aether Sprite, Ahsoka Tano, and Kickback for Squadrons. The objectives I ran were surprise attack, helps me know where the enemy's at, and the raid is always useful against enemy squadron fleets. Planetary ion cannons, pretty solid yellow if you can set up a nice little defensive zone. And then infested fields helps combat enemy squads as well. Helps get obstacles out of the way of your ships, and also is a good way to kind of farm points with your squadrons. So just going over the fleet in general, the difference from Vast World Cup is Vast World Cup I was squadless. I had 2 Venators and 2 transports. So I cheapened it up a little bit with a Victory. So I got like 20 extra points, as well as dropping like around 60 points for Pelta. It allowed me to get 80 points of squads. These squads are really good. It's an expensive ball, but it's very effective at trading out. I think it would be very hard for an opponent to wipe this squad ball and still have an effective squad ball by the turn of it. They're very good at trading out pretty evenly, especially if you can keep Anakin alive. If there's no enemy squads, they are pretty reliant on doing 4 damage with the black anti-ship adept on Anakin, blue but adept on Ahsoka. Axe is pretty good at keeping people alive under flak, as long as the scatter aces. It's just really, really good ball. A little expensive. You probably prefer a ship, but can definitely hold its weight, and it's not completely useless. It's not like you have 50 points of vultures that you're hoping to roll red dice on against like PDEX and evades. So definitely solid squad ball. That was the main downside of the squadless build of the double Venator, double Pelta, is the Rebel Rogue balls. This group of squads can definitely munch and trade up and tie down Rebel Rogue balls, so they just don't kill your Peltas. So that was the main improvement I wanted to make. It worked out really well. So just talking about the change that we had to make, dropping 1 transport, that was fine. Lose a little bit of tankiness, lose an activation, but just having 1 of them was good enough for the most part. Ended up just using more Bail or Organa engineering dials. The main swap was changing a Ven 1 to a Victory. It actually worked out really well for me. I actually really like this build of the Victory. It's a little expensive. You could cheapen it up a little bit. But I think GAllia really helps the survivability of a Victory, especially against enemy squads. Being able to use that brace as a redirect and the salvo as a redirect when you have as many shields as you do, very effective. Engine techs actually gives this thing a decent nav chart with a dial. If you have a dial, you can get, at speed 2, you can get a click and a click, or a double click, and then engine tech and get a click. So you can do like a pseudo speed 3 move and actually have 3 clicks of nav. Actually was more mobile than I thought. So definitely paired well with Bail, just being able to grab those nav dials when needed. For the most part, it was always dialing con fire. Maybe towards the end of the game, if I knew it was going to get close to an edge on turn 6 or turn 5, I'd queue up a nav, or I'd start queuing up repairs. But for the most part, a lot of con fire to help out the SPHA-Ts. SPHA-Ts, one set of them is always good at killing flotillas, killing enemy smalls, or crippling enemy smalls, really punching above its weight at long. The assault proton torpedoes, just kind of funny. When you do get up in close and you got your normal front arc and you have your side arc in SPHA-T, this victory can punch way above its weight. If you get the 3 red, 3 black, and then 5 blue and a black, like assault proton torpedoes has a decent chance of going off naturally. You have external racks that get a couple more blacks if you need, and then also veteran gunners. Generally if the red and black pool is pretty bad, that's the one I had veteran gunner, because the SPHA-T pool goes, the SPHA-T shot gets done first, and with the 5 blues, that generally doesn't need to be veteran gunnered if you're going to have a front arc shot as well. So punched way above its weight, 106 points. It's cheaper than a Venator and was doing a lot of the work that the Venator 1 I had that was like 120, 125 points was. So definitely a good exchange. The only thing you really lose over the Venator is your flak is quite a bit worse. You don't have that contain, a little bit less hull. But definitely can punch above its weight, and it can surprise a lot of people with how much damage it can do and how mobile it is with those bail nav dials and engine techs. Then we go up to the Venator II. Venator II was a great ship for me. Thermal shields makes it extra tanky against a lot of things. Boarding troopers makes it very scary to enemy larges. Tranquility, LTT, external racks, and Clone Captain Zak. Just a lot of extra dice set effects. It can have 1 or 2 rounds of a lot of bursts with that boarding troopers. I'm really liking this style of Venator. Venators with boarding troopers, powered by Hondo, are just really, really threatening. Like, it makes it so it can win a fight against an enemy large. If you park yourself up against an enemy large, chances are the Ven 2 is going to win out, especially with those thermal shields. Also, was able to command the squad ball. Generally, I only set 1 or 2 squad commands for this fleet, kind of depending on how fast I would kill them. If they're squadless, I generally only set 1 dial, because I just throw all these at an enemy ship and then trust that it would get those squadrons would get overlapped by whatever ship I threw them in front of, enemy large or enemy medium. But it's happy to command squads as much as needed. The main thing here is if you are going to lose the squad battle, or if you're going to like trade out and you're going to kill like 70 points and they're going to wipe you, just knowing when you got to swap off of those squadron dials, because once your squads are dead, you definitely want your dials to be like con fire or nav or engineering if you've used all the bail dials. I have noticed with the victory, you do end up using your bail dials, like all of them, a lot more often. When I was running the double Venator setup, there are a lot of games where I had like 1 or 2 dials left. But with the victory, you definitely want to be navving more often. So with that was my thought and kind of an overview of the fleet that I had for Hoth. I hope it gives some people an idea for GAR. This is pre-Anakin, but Bail's still pretty good, even in Anakin world. I hope people give it a shot if they're looking to try GAR. And with that, I don't have any other tournaments that I've done recently or going to be in by next week. So if there is any Admiral in the GAR faction that people would like to see a fleet for, go ahead and drop it in the comments, and I will devise a fleet and get some nice friendly games in throughout the week and give a recap of what I came up with. But with that, that's all I have. You all take care of yourselves. Catch you all next week.